I am joined here via Zoom with my colleague Rahul Bair. Rahul, how's it going? How you been doing?
Good, it's good, recovering good, bro. But this news that we're going to talk about is
Yeah,
quite it's quite the smack, for fans, for the world of football around. I mean, it's crazy. It's hit all of a sudden overnight. There are posts flying out, tweets flying out. There's news flying out. That bottom line is that this may just ruin football for fans around the world.
yeah. And for what we're discussing, for those who are watching us, we're talking about basically, I'm sure you guys have been watching in the news that basically there's been discussions happening before. It almost was happening actually last year, but it's about the European Super League, which has now come into fruition. It is no more a pipe dream. It is something that has been formed by the so-called football elites, as you can say. And it's basically going to change the fabric of world football as we speak. And Rahul, would you like to just go a little bit more in depth as to how this has started and
It's
how?
it's well for me. I mean, we had this discussion before this. For me, it's self-proclaimed. These self-proclaimed 12 teams that have come together under one dictator who said that I'm going to create this league with the 12 best teams. I don't know how he's come up with it, but that
Mhm,
has come together, and that's just going to tear every other league in the world apart. There are
mhm.
teams that will agree, there are teams that will not agree. Now the alleged 12 that have already agreed, now there are so many discussions going on about it. I mean, it started with the whole Gary Neville rant the night all these rumors started, and then it picked up, and it picked up quick. And
Yeah.
I won't name who said what, because I don't want to quote somebody in a wrong way, but someone very rightly said that how have these guys proclaimed that they're the top six or they are the big six?
Hmm.
City, I can understand they're on top. Liverpool, I can understand champions last year. But what about the rest? What about Man United? What about Spurs? What about Arsenal? What about Chelsea? What have these teams done in the last few years to be known as the big six?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Why is it that way? And to top it all, it is in the middle of a bloody pandemic.
Yeah.
You are
The
throwing
timing seems
money.
to be very, very tone deaf.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's sad that they're doing it during during a current season where there are still tournaments to be played, there are still cups to be won, there are still so many things like seasons to finish and things like that. And to just throw this curveball into the mix is kind of like just kind of shooking everyone up. And
It's
I think it all
bizarre.
boils down to the man Fiorentino Perez, the Real Madrid president, who apparently seems to be the spearhead of the whole European Super League.
And he's passing statements saying it's not a dream anymore. It's going to happen. It's going to save football. It's going to make football better. Sir, you want to stand up and explain to me how this is going to make football better? How is it?
Hmm.
How is it that a Premier League, an English Premier League, with so much history behind it, with so much following, with so many fans, with legends that are associated with the Premier League, all of a sudden goes down from 20 teams to 14. I
Hmm.
mean, we're literally talking about a meeting that's going on with the Premier League, 14 teams without the proclaimed Big Six. And I come
Yeah.
back to the Big Six. You being an Arsenal fan, me being a Man United fan, I do not consider Man United to be worthy of playing in the Super League. First of all, I mean, I don't want them to play as an opinion. You'll have one, I'll have one. Fans around the world will. Not wanting them to
Hmm.
play is something else. But you're telling me United in the top 12 teams of the world with how they've been playing. Arsenal, I mean, really. And this is, we both know this. We're not taking digs at each other here, because this is something that we've come together for. This is more to
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
more to
bigger
do with
than our clubs.
football
This
than
is
the
football
clubs.
at stake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's football at stake. And Chelsea for that matter. Just it's a funny thing, but if the Europa Super League goes through, PSG picks up the Champions League because
Yeah.
they have no competition. And like you
Yeah.
rightly mentioned in the introduction, the international break, FIFA is involved. UEFA being involved, UEFA does not have a say in international games, like you very rightly mentioned. during our offline discussion. But now FIFA is involved and they have clearly put their foot down saying that, boss, we're not having this.
Yeah.
Players' careers at risk, managers threatening to walk through the door. One of them already has. And
Mm.
it's an absolutely bizarre couple of days for football. Legends are lashing out.
Absolutely.
Players are, sending out small tweets, small quotes here and there with, their displeasure towards the idea. James Milner has come out. Klopp has come out. I can't wrap my head around it.
Well, I think Klopp took a very neutral stand at him. Like I was watching the game yesterday where they played Leeds, and like he's made it very clear that he doesn't like it. He's not a fan of it. But then I think he's also taken that Tuchel route, because even Tuchel also said the same thing, that he's like, I will support Chelsea. I am an employee. All that nonsense. So I think he's just taking the neutral way out and saying, look, I'm an employee also with this club as well. All I can say is I don't like this, but I don't have the power to change this. It is the more higher ups, it is FSG and everyone else who has to actually take care of this. And it is a very scary task, because imagine they've come up with a concept in where they even wanted to have actually the German giants and French Paris Saint Germain as well. So at least kudos to the German giants like Dortmund and Paris Saint Germain and Bayern Munich for taking a stand and saying no, we don't want to be a part of this. But it kind of also comes to this point where, as we were talking over the phone earlier, so like it's kind of like the rich eating the rich, because
Yeah.
UEFA at the same time is basically just being a little bit too salty about it, because it's basically revenue that they are not getting. And it's basically the owners of these clubs who just said, you know what, these guys are the middleman. They are making so much of money. Let's start franchise football and let's just make our own money and keep it amongst ourselves. And it is selfish. It is very childish, I think, in the eyes of the owners at least. But remember, these owners are bloodthirsty dogs. I mean, as in that's the best term of the world. Like they're wolves. They only
They have
look at
nothing
money.
to do
They
with
only care
football.
about
Yeah.
profits. Yeah, it has nothing to do with football. They look at football clubs as a business, which I think is where they are killing that essence of football. Like the fans are the biggest sufferers, I would say. Even the people associated with them, like the management as well, will probably be like, we know the history, we know the legacy of these clubs. You can't just pick them out and put them somewhere else. And even coming back to what you were saying also, like, yeah, who made the decision? Again, it was the owners who said, okay, fine, let's just take our teams and put them there. But on the grounds of what? Like I was talking to my dad the other day. My dad was like, I mean, if we're talking about European pedigree, take Nottingham Forest, take Aston Villa. They've won European Cups, and they should probably have a better shout than compared to Tottenham, Man City, who have not even won even a European Cup, albeit also a Super Cup or whatever it is. So it is a very scary time for being a football fan and for being a football supporter. And to think that they're now going to be having three more teams to make their founding 15 clubs.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, like, firstly, there's no relegation, there's no kind of promotion. So five other clubs get to qualify due to their previous season's performance. But then how do you keep interchanging the five? Like, I know this is still something that is in progress. This is still something that is going to be given more, they'll give us more ideas and instructions of it. But it just seems like it's a money grabbing opportunity by the club owners.
Yeah, the basic idea that they've given us, I mean, everything that you do, every property that you start, or every new venture that you get into, there has to be a base. Now,
Yeah,
someone explained to me, except for the money, where is this base?
yeah.
JP Morgan's putting in the money. Okay, fine. Clubs owners are giving they're stressing out about the fact that there are no crowds, so we're losing revenue, and the money is
Mm.
important, and all of that. But come on, y'all are sick. There are so many other clubs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just apologies for that disturbance. But there are so many other clubs that are doing the same thing. Why aren't they considered? Coming back to
Yeah.
Spurs, Arsenal, even United and Chelsea for that matter. How?
Yeah.
How are you top six? Why? Because you have money. What have you done? Spurs, your manager has left you. Okay, respect for Jose. He's come out and he's done what he's done. But even
Mm.
otherwise, if there was no ESL and Jose would have been fired, it would have still been a justified decision because his team's doing so badly.
Mm.
Similarly with Arsenal, similarly with United. Their
Hmm.
second, okay, great. We talk about that. We have our fun and games on the show. But what have you done to be a part of the best 12 clubs in the world at the moment? Why
Yeah,
have
true. And
Bayern not been a part of it? Why is
I
Dortmund not a
think
part of it?
it's all these owners who are just throwing their toys out of the pram. Honestly, I think it's just them again. It's as we've all discussed, it all boils down to money, and there's a money trail towards this. It's people like Alexander Sefrin, the president of UEFA, is also saying that we never knew that these people who were working so close to us were the ones who would stab us in the back. Like he used the term snakes amongst us, and things like that.
Which
And
is
it's
big.
sad because it's kind of ironic because even Andrea Agnelli, the owner of Juventus, is the godfather to Alexander Seferin. I mean, I think one of them is the godfather to their child or something like that. They're that close, and they didn't even expect something like this to be not told, or like they were just blindsided by it. And to think that even people like Ed Woodward and maybe even all the other like operational people like Daniel Levy and stuff, what must be going through their heads right now? Like, do they think they made the right decision? Do you think again I know they're
Absolutely
business
not.
people. I know they're looking for money, but do you think they have a conscience? Do you think they have like an understanding as to how
It's
what will
not.
this cost them?
It's There's just one question, and that one question is it worth it?
Mm,
Yes, there's the money, and yes, there's everything. Is this going to last? I mean, you're the backlash from players like Gary Neville, who has won multiple titles with Man United, but is coming on air and saying, strip them off it.
mm,
Strip the other teams of their titles who are taking part in this. What is the use of creating such a great legacy? What is the use of having such a great history, having so much prestige about the club, if you're just going to throw it out like this? For what?
mm,
To play in a competition where there are 12 teams. I mean, there was a very interesting post that came out, which is very simple, but it said that Arsenal drew to Fulham and Liverpool drew to Leeds, and you've called them your top six. No disrespect to
mm.
Fulham and Leeds, but come on, you've called them your
Yeah,
top six. And you
yeah,
could see that in Liverpool's game yesterday. You could see that with Klopp and his body language yesterday. That it was a Premier League game that seemed a lot like a practice game. We've gotten used to watching Premier League games without crowds, and at Project Restart, we were, like, okay, this seems like a practice game. You can hear players, but they fixed that. They've got the crowd noises in, and the Premier League returned to kind of its essence. Probably 50% of it when it became a
mm,
routine of having games without fans. But last night
yeah,
just did not seem like a Premier League Leeds versus Liverpool. Cut back to the first Leeds versus Liverpool game, 4-3. The excitement
oh
about that
yeah,
game, but there was no excitement about last night's game. Klopp, there was no. It wasn't Klopp. Klopp wasn't Klopp, and
true.
it just goes to show how much this is playing on the minds of managers. There were rumors out of Arteta, Tuchel all walking out, which still might be true. Who posted them?
Mm,
What extent are these rumors? Nobody knows, but it still can be true. And I made a joke about it. I
absolutely.
still think that Ole is the only idiot who might just stay and be like, oh, okay, I'll manage you guys. But what about the rest? The Arteta and Ole, fine. Arteta's just come out of Pep's shadow, but the others are established managers. They've done something in life.
Mm,
And would
yeah,
you really want to risk all of it? Like the club is risking their history. Would managers want to risk their careers of what all they've done? What Klopp has done, what Pep has done, what Tuchel has done? It's
yeah,
bizarre. This entire concept is bizarre. It's gonna kill the
yeah.
game. It's gonna kill any passion for the game. And whether it happens or not, in my opinion, it's not going to happen. I just feel it's going to escalate. It's going to escalate, and eventually they're going to not go ahead with it. But whatever said and done, it's left a sour taste. It's now going to
Absolutely.
be the talk. Whatever you do, I mean, how many times have you seen a pre-match day show where you've barely spoken about formations and lineups? You're playing,
Yeah,
playing leads, and there's no talk of lineups. There
yeah,
is Premier League announcements happening on your screen before you're watching the game, and those were hard hitting announcements. They were not soft. They were not subtle at all. They were in your face saying, boss, if you're going to do this, we are not a part of it. And when we make this statement, we make this statement individually as a Premier League, not as a top six or a top 10 or whatever. So
yeah.
it is just a sad phase, a sad day, and a sad turn for football, I feel, for fans all around the world. the only good thing about this is that all your rival fans are coming together and supporting the game, which is why the game is the game, and we call it the beautiful game. But if you're going to screw it
Absolutely.
up the way you are, if you're going to screw it up like this for money, and and like you said, the timing, it's shit. We're in
Yeah,
the
I
middle of,
say it's tone deaf. Very, very
yeah,
tone deaf. Like,
it's honestly, we can
well, I
go
mean,
on about this, but yeah, like I just feel that it's it's a format that's not required. It's a format that is very out of the blue. It is only pointing to profit for these clubs.
it's
It is
greed at the
very,
very
very
best, I would say.
massively,
I hate
yes,
to say it.
and it's affecting the other clubs very massively, which is sad to see. I'm
Hmm.
glad that people are coming out with opinions, managers, players. I'm sure we're going to see more in the next coming days, but and I think I speak for you and me and the entire All Balls channel when I say that it's just a piece of shit. We do not agree with
Hmm.
it. We are not in
Yeah.
favor of it. And I am more than happy to get up in the middle of the night to get an episode out to bash this damn thing because it's just going to ruin football forever.
It has upset the status quo of football, and for those also who are watching again, like you have to know that like we are right now just reacting to it. This is an ongoing story. There's going to be more to be discussed about this. So we're just
Absolutely.
basically talking about whatever that has gone down so far. And as we were saying, yeah, the landscape of football is going to change if they go with it. I'm also with you on this side where I think they're not going to go ahead with it because there's so much at stake. But as the old adage goes, money talks and BS walks. So that's the scary thing that really worries me because again these are owners who are wolves. They don't care, they don't mind. They're so, and most of them are coming from America. A lot of them are from America. A lot of them have been exposed to franchise sports. So for them, they are just looking at a cash cow. So they don't mind being ruthless. They don't mind tarnishing the name of Arsenal or Man United if they have to change it to Gunners 11 and Manchester Reds and the Merseyside Reds versus someone else. I wouldn't be surprised to see that because again, greed is such a horrible thing. And I really think people like John Henry and Stan Kroenke of the world really need to look deep down in their heads and think like, is this the right decision? Now I've already signed in the papers. I'm already a vice chairman. I'm already a part of this committee. But are we still doing the right thing? And it's scary because you can now see that there is a reaction. The fans are losing it. As you also said, the players and okay, not a lot of players, but James Milner, Ander Herrera are one of the few people who have come out and said things. And it's only going to be snowballing further unless they come to an understanding. And as we discussed earlier, also I have a feeling it's going to come to a compromise. It's just going to be basically UEFA and the ESL kind of like meeting midway instead of circle jerking each other all the time. And yeah, they'll say, okay,
But it's
fine,
going
you
to
give us
leave
this, we give you this.
it's going to leave a sour taste, which is going to screw it up for the next couple of years probably.
But that's going to be such a rippling affair because it's also going to like the fans are not going to forget about something like this, even if this doesn't go into fruition. The very fact that this is something possible is always going to be in the mind of fans. Like they're always going to be like, okay, fine, yeah, like we had a horrible season, but yeah, we always have the ESL. Like we'll be playing with the biggest. Or it can even be the other way around. It can be negative as well. So it's something which I think football fans need to bind together. And as you said, like like people who are supporters of other clubs besides the big six, or even those from the Spanish league and Italian league as well, like they also at least are showing that solidarity, which I do appreciate.
And yeah, to end it on a little more lighter note, I mean, the last bit that's going to really be a bummer is that these teams are not going to be on FIFA.
Well, see, look, it's an ongoing thing. We don't know yet. It can be FIFA, it can be PS. As for me, I'm not
There's
exactly
there's
having played FIFA in a long
there's
time.
only that much there's only that much FIFA I can play with Chris Wood as my striker, so I'm going to leave it right there.
True, but I mean, yeah. Before we end, again, what are your thoughts though? Like your final thoughts on this thing? Like, I know it's still an ongoing thing.
It's
We're definitely probably going to shoot another video of it again, most likely as the more it
but
grows.
yeah, no, it's a plain and simple no. It's just difficult to digest. It's difficult to take, and I mean, my prayers are going to be with the fact that this shit doesn't go down because that's all we can do right now. Just sit and pray that these idiots don't agree to whatever it is to agree to, and yeah, just get this done with, get football back, and life as usual.
Yeah, well, I hope so too. I mean, I hope so for you, for me, for the fans, and everyone else as well. Like, I mean, this is not something that we were expecting. And it's kind of also strange. I don't mean to call the conspiracy theorist in me, but it's funny how when UEFA also kind of acknowledged what they're going to do for the Champions League in the 24-25 season, and then out of nowhere, these guys just blindside them and say, this is what we're going to be doing. So they show them the bird, flip them the bird, and then they'll be like, okay, fine, we're on our way now. So
Yeah,
there's still a lot to
it's
develop
just
on this
bad
for sure.
timing. Yeah. It's just bad timing. And I think we should ask the audience also, guys. You should put in the comments, what you feel about the ESL, what you feel about this entire saga going on. Let us know in the comments. Also, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and stay tuned because we're coming back with another one on this very soon. Stay safe.
Peace.